The night felt unusually heavy as the billionaire rushed into the hospital, his heartbeat louder than the sirens in his mind, fearing he might already be too late to fix what he had long ignored. Inside the quiet room, machines blinked softly, while his aging father lay still, and beside him a cleaning lady sat with her head resting gently near the bed, as if guarding something priceless. The billionaire froze at the door, confusion and disbelief colliding in his eyes as he tried to understand why a stranger would stay beside his father when he himself never truly did. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start, because what happened next changed everything he believed about care and responsibility. Just hours earlier, in his luxury office, he had ignored multiple calls from the hospital, choosing meetings over family, convinced that money could handle problems that required presence and love. In his sleek car, speeding through the city, regret began creeping into his chest as silence replaced confidence, and every passing second reminded him of years he never gave his father. Back at home that morning, his father had tried to speak, his weak voice unheard as the billionaire hurried out, leaving behind not just a house, but a man silently begging for attention. Now, standing in that hospital room, seeing the cleaning lady's quiet devotion, the billionaire felt something break inside him, realizing that care isn't about status. It's about who stays when no one is watching. The billionaire slowly stepped closer, his polished shoes echoing in the silent room, eyes fixed on the cleaning lady whose tired posture revealed she had not moved for hours beside his father. The faint hospital lights reflected on the glass as machines hummed steadily, and for the first time he noticed how fragile his father looked, a truth he had ignored behind business deals. In the doctor's room earlier, he had been told firmly that his father's condition was serious, and immediate treatment was needed, but arrangements required quick decisions and financial confirmation. The doctor had looked him straight in the eye and said, "Arrange the payment without delay." A sentence that sounded simple to a billionaire but suddenly carried emotional weight beyond money. Hours before that, he stood at the billing counter, handing over cash without hesitation, yet feeling strangely empty, realizing wealth could pay bills, but not buy back lost time. At the pharmacy, while purchasing medicines, his hands slightly trembled, not from fear of cost, but from the guilt that every medicine now felt like a late apology. Driving back from the medical store, the city lights blurred through his windshield, each reflection reminding him of the distance he had created between himself and his father. And now, in this quiet moment, seeing the cleaning lady gently adjust his father's blanket, he wondered how a stranger could offer warmth that he, as a son, had failed to give. The billionaire finally spoke, his voice low and uncertain, asking the cleaning lady why she stayed, and her simple answer carried more weight than any deal he had ever signed in his life. She said she noticed his father alone many nights, struggling to even reach the water glass, and something in her heart refused to walk away like everyone else usually did. Her words cut deeper than any accusation because she did not blame him. She simply explained care in its purest form, something he had forgotten while chasing endless success. He pulled a chair closer, sitting beside his father for the first time in years, feeling the silence speak louder than conversations they never had when time was still on their side. Slowly, his father's fingers moved slightly, and the billionaire leaned forward, his heart racing, realizing that even the smallest response now felt like a second chance he did not deserve. In that fragile moment, the cleaning lady quietly stepped back, giving space, yet her presence remained strong, like an invisible support holding the room together with silent strength. The billionaire looked at his father's face, noticing every wrinkle as a story, every breath as a reminder, and every missed moment as a regret he could no longer ignore. That night he did not leave the hospital, for the first time choosing to stay, not because he had to, but because he finally understood what it truly meant to be present. The hospital corridor grew quieter as midnight passed, yet inside the room a new awareness kept the billionaire awake, watching every breath his father took as if counting chances he once wasted. He noticed how the cleaning lady gently checked the oxygen tube, adjusting it with care, her movements slow and respectful, as though she understood the value of life better than anyone in that building. Memories from his office returned where success was measured in numbers, but now those achievements felt empty, unable to comfort the guilt building inside his chest with every passing second. Earlier that evening, when he rushed through traffic in his luxury car, he had believed he was arriving to fix everything, but now he realized some things were never about speed or money. He quietly asked the cleaning lady if she had family, and she smiled faintly, saying she once did, but life had taken them away, leaving her with only compassion to give to others. Her answer left him speechless, because despite her losses, she still chose to care, while he, who had everything, had failed to offer the simplest form of presence to his own father. He reached out and held his father's hand carefully, feeling its weakness, and for the first time he did not feel powerful. He felt small, like a son who had arrived too late. As the night deepened, the room held a quiet transformation, where a wealthy man began to understand that true richness is not in what you own, but in who you stand beside when it matters. A soft knock came from the doctor, who stepped inside and checked the reports quietly, his expression serious yet calm, as he updated the billionaire about the slow but hopeful response. The billionaire listened carefully this time, not interrupting, not rushing, absorbing every word as if it mattered more than any contract he had ever signed in his entire career. The doctor explained that recovery would take time and patience, something money could not accelerate, and consistent care would be the most important part of keeping his father stable. As the doctor left, the billionaire looked back at the cleaning lady, realizing she had already been giving that care long before he even thought about being present in this room. He stood up and walked toward the window, watching the early signs of dawn slowly light up the hospital courtyard, feeling as if a new understanding was rising within him as well. Back in his office just a day ago, he had signed deals without emotion, but now every thought was centered around one fragile life that had always been quietly waiting for him. The cleaning lady picked up a cloth and continued her work, not seeking attention or praise. Her dedication simple and pure, something that made the billionaire feel both humbled and ashamed. In that quiet morning moment, he made a silent promise to himself that no matter what happened next, he would not walk away again, not from his father and not from his responsibilities. The morning light filled the room softly, and for the first time, the billionaire did not check his phone, did not rush away, choosing instead to sit quietly beside his father in silence. A nurse entered briefly to adjust the drip, but even she paused for a second, noticing the change in the room where a once distant son now sat with a quiet sense of responsibility. The billionaire asked the cleaning lady her name, and when she answered with a gentle smile, it felt strange to him that someone so important in this moment had been invisible to him before. He thanked her sincerely, not out of formality, but from a place deep within where guilt had slowly begun transforming into respect and a need to make things right. Later, he stepped out into the corridor and called his office, canceling all meetings for the day, his voice calm but firm, prioritizing something he had ignored for far too long. When he returned, he found the cleaning lady softly speaking to his father, as if sharing small, comforting words, creating a presence that filled the room with warmth and care. He stood there quietly, realizing that sometimes healing does not begin with medicine, but with human connection, something that cannot be measured or purchased at any cost. In that moment, the billionaire understood that while he could arrange the best treatment, it was the simple act of staying that would truly give his father a reason to fight. By afternoon, the hospital grew busier, but inside the room, time seemed to slow as the billionaire remained seated, quietly observing every small movement his father made with careful attention. As evening approached, he sat again beside his father, holding his hand, no longer as a formality, but as a silent apology that words could never fully express. Returning through the corridor, he saw other families waiting anxiously, and for the first time he understood that pain and hope existed equally in every corner of that place. The cleaning lady returned after finishing her duties, gently checking on his father again, as if this room had become part of her responsibility beyond her assigned work. At the pharmacy downstairs, he personally collected additional medicines, carefully checking each item as though every detail now mattered in a way it never had before. Later, he walked to the billing counter once more, confirming all payments and ensuring nothing would delay the treatment, this time not out of habit, but out of genuine concern. The billionaire offered her a chair, insisting she rest for a while, but she politely refused, saying she was used to standing, a simple reply that carried years of silent endurance. He noticed how each breath had a rhythm, fragile yet steady, and it gave him a strange sense of hope, something he had not allowed himself to feel for a very long time. The evening shadows stretched across the room, and the billionaire remained still, his hand wrapped around his father's, as if afraid that letting go might undo the fragile connection they had just begun to rebuild. A slight movement caught his attention, and his father's eyes slowly opened for a moment, not fully aware, but enough to recognize a presence that had been missing for far too long. The billionaire leaned closer, his voice trembling as he softly spoke, not with authority or confidence, but with the hesitation of a son unsure if he deserved to be heard anymore. Though his father could not respond clearly, the faint squeeze of his hand felt real, and in that small gesture, the billionaire found a meaning deeper than any success he had ever achieved. The cleaning lady watched quietly from a distance, her eyes reflecting a calm satisfaction, as if witnessing something she had hoped would happen without ever expecting credit for it. Later that night, the doctor returned with updated reports, explaining that stability was improving, but emotional support would remain just as important as the medical treatment ahead. The billionaire nodded, fully understanding now that healing was not only about machines and medicine, but about presence, patience, and the willingness to stay through uncertainty. As the night settled once again, he adjusted his chair closer to the bed, determined not to leave, knowing that this time, being there was the only thing that truly mattered. The next morning arrived quietly, and the billionaire was still there, his eyes tired but steady, proving that for the first time he had chosen presence over everything else in his life. His father looked slightly better, small signs of recovery visible, and even the doctor acknowledged that consistent care and emotional comfort were making a meaningful difference now. The billionaire stepped outside briefly, calling his office again, not to give orders, but to delegate responsibilities, finally trusting others while he focused on what truly mattered. When he returned, he saw the cleaning lady carefully adjusting the curtains, letting soft sunlight enter the room, creating a peaceful atmosphere that felt almost like home. He offered to help her with something, but she simply smiled and said, "Some things are done better with patience," reminding him once again that care cannot be rushed or forced. Sitting beside his father, he began speaking softly about old memories, moments from childhood, hoping that somewhere within those words might reach and bring comfort. The room no longer felt heavy like before. Instead, it carried a quiet sense of healing, where regret was slowly transforming into effort, and effort into something meaningful. And in that stillness, the billionaire understood that redemption does not come from one action, but from the decision to stay again and again without turning away. That evening, the hospital lights dimmed again, but the room felt different now, filled with a calm presence where the billionaire no longer felt like a visitor, but like someone who finally belonged there. He noticed how his father's breathing had become more stable, and each small improvement felt like a quiet reward, not for wealth or power, but for simply choosing to stay and care. The cleaning lady prepared to leave after her shift, wiping the floor one last time, but before stepping out, she gently looked back at the father, as if silently wishing him strength. The billionaire stopped her and thanked her again, this time with deep sincerity, offering support in return, but she humbly declined, saying, "Kindness is not something to trade." Her words stayed with him long after she left, echoing in the silence, reminding him that true humanity exists in actions that expect nothing in return, only the comfort of doing what is right. He returned to his seat and looked at his father, no longer seeing a responsibility, but seeing a life that had quietly given everything without ever asking for attention or recognition. Outside, the city continued its restless movement, but inside that room, a man finally slowed down enough to understand what he had almost lost forever through his own distance. And as the night grew deeper, the billionaire stayed awake beside his father, not out of fear anymore, but out of a quiet promise that he would never choose absence again. If this story touched your heart, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us again for the next powerful journey.